All right, so me and Caden put that together. This 12 light looks really good. Did it in 1 hour and 23 minutes. That's not bad, but we did know how to do the layout, and that's cool. And did the layout right, all the pieces are cut correctly the first time, well, it can go together pretty quick, I guess. So we did a good job. We did that for one of our window restorer friends of ours who needed a 12 light sash real quick. So hopefully it's what he needs. We laid it all out. I mean, mathematically you can see that what we did, the muttons lined up straight, which is what you're looking for. So overall, that's not bad, right? To go from a little sketch like that to this right here. So follow along with me, y'all, and I'll show you how to do the math to get the layout right on this sash behind me. It's a 12 light casement. It's pretty simple, and if you can figure out the math on that, you can figure out the math on just about anything. So watch and see. To get the calculator out and do the math and the layout for this 12 light sash. I've got 4 across the top and 3 down. I got to lay out the stiles and I got to lay out the top rails. I guess I'll start with the stiles. Over there, I've got them pre-cut. I know my length is 32 1/4, so that's one of my facts. And my top rail is gonna be 2 1/4, and my bottom rail is 3 1/4. This is like a transom sash, I think. These little intermediary muntins, those would be 3/4 as well. Okay, so all these are the facts that I know, and what I'm looking for is the space in between all of the wood. Okay. So what is the distance here and here and there? It should all be the same. Let's find out. Okay, so I'll go ahead and get my pieces going. So I'll lay out my knowns, right? So in my system, I come up a 1/2 inch, cut out, let's see, and then my bottom rail is 3 1/4, so I'm going to go to 3 1/4. And 32 1/4 is my overall length. Mark that with an arrow. Come back my 1/2 inch, but I want you to see that there's my mark there, but my mortise is going to be on this side, so my mark is on the left-hand side of my measurement there. So I'm just going to go 32 1/4. See, 1, 2 1/4. 30. Okay. I do that on the outside of my measurement to make my hole just slightly bigger than it needs to be. Okay, so what I'm looking for on my stiles is where to put the marks for my 3/4 inch mortise. I've got a space here and I don't know where they go. So that's what I'm figuring out. So I'll start off with my knowns. So 32.25, 32.25. I'm going to subtract out my top rail, which is 2.25 equals 30, and then I'm going to subtract out my bottom rail, which is 3.25. And that gives me 26 3/4. So then I'm going to subtract out my 3/4 and my 3/4. That's 1.5 inches or 1.5. So minus 1.5 equals 25 1/4. All right, so I'm going to write that down real quick. Now I'm going to divide that by 3, and that's going to be an interesting number, isn't it? Let's see. Divided by, I want 3 equal spaces. 8.416. I'll write that down. 8.416. Okay, now I know that. So that's going to be pretty close to 7/16. It's in between 3/8 and 7/16, I believe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, that's my space between either my top rail of my muntin or my bottom rail of my muntin, or in between my muntins. That should be my number there. And just to start, I'm going to add back in my 2 1/4 here, my top rail, and that's going to give me 10.66, right? So I'm going to go, let's see, 10.66, that's like 6 5/8 plus, right? That's to my my first line for my mortise there, and then I'm going to add 3/4 to that. Plus 0.75 equals, yep, 11.416. Okay? So 11.416 to that. Okay? Now I've done my math right. Okay? 8.416, that's the distance there. All right? 10.666, that's the distance from here to there. Okay, and then 11.416, that's the distance from the top of the sash to the other side of the muntin. There you go. All right, and so that math, say that math is right. Okay, if I switch that to the other side, this will be 8.416 to there, right? From the, if I'm going to go from my bottom rail is 1 inch bigger, so this next number should be 11.666 to go from there to there, and this number should be 12.416 from here to the other side of my muntin to the bottom of my sash. All right, let's try those numbers out. Well, first of all, let's figure out what these numbers are, right? So 8.416 equals what? 10.666 equals what? And 11.416 equals what? I don't know, we'll find out. So the way we find out is go 8.416, 8.416. Well, what you would do is you subtract out your 8, minus 8 equals, you have to isolate your decimal. So multiply that times 16, and yep, it's 6.6 16ths, which is 6 1/2, which is 3/8 plus, which is like 3/8 plus or 7/16 minus. Okay, and we'll do our 10.666, but I'm not going to subtract out the 10. I'm just going to go 0.666 times 16 equals, okay, that's my 5/8 plus, that's 5/8 plus or 11/16 minus. Okay, then my 11.416 is going to be, well, I know what my 416 is. Oh, I write that down, 3/4, that's actually 3/8, sorry. So my 416 there is going to be 3/8 plus or 7/16 minus. All right, so now we can add those numbers in. Oh, and I got 12.416, right? So 12.416, that's going to equal, yeah, 3/8 or 7/16 minus. Okay. All of that, all right? So try out our 8.416. Did I say 8 3/8? Okay, yep. 8 3/8. So right on my mark. And then my next mark is, oh, you know what? That's not my first mark. 8 3/8, that's the measurement between. My first mark is 10 5/8 plus. 10 5/8. And then my next one is going to be 11 3/8. Or 7/16. So I'm going to go right there. Okay? And then I'm going to measure from the bottom my 11.66. Okay, well, I know that's 5/8 plus 11 5/8 to 12 3/8. There we go. If I've done my math right, then I should have 8.416 in between there. Let's see what happens. Boom, look at that. See? I'm right on the money. It's 8 3/8 or 7/16. Give or take. I mean, I've got some, human error to account for in the placement of my tape, but that's right. So that's really good. So that's my Stiles. Okay, so we'll start our next one now. Now we'll do our rails. Okay. Get off my table a little bit. Here. Start on this end. Square up my ends. If y'all know me and my system sometimes, you know that if I want a 48-inch wide sash, I'll cut my rails 47, 1 inch less. There's an explanation to that, but that's not this video. Alright. Very nice indeed. So I've got 47 here, and I've got tenons, imaginary tenons on the end of these to account for, and then I've got my 3/4 inch holes I have to place in here. Okay, so my imaginary tenons, it's going to be 1.5 inches plus 1/4, which is 1 3/4. All right. On both sides. I know that. So those are really the only numbers I know. So I'll get my calculator out and we'll start doing our math. Okay. So my overall length is 47. And I'm going to subtract out my ends. Okay. And that's those two together. 1.75 plus 1.75 is 3.5 minus, so 47 minus 3.5 equals that. And then I've got 3 Munson holes at 3/4, so that's another 2.25 if you add all that together. Minus 2.25 equals that. So I'm at 41 1/4, and I've got divide that into 4 equal spaces. All right, so divide that by 4. Equals 10 and 5/16, what that is. Let me write that down. Okay, so 10.3125 from here, which is basically 5/16. Okay, so now all I do is I have to add in, well, it's 10.3125 for each of these spaces. Now what I do is I have to add the end back in and start working my way to the middle. So I'll add in my 1 3/4 for this end, my 3/4, and then I'll add in 10.3125 to get to here. And then I'll measure from both sides. And if I measure from both sides correctly, then I'll be left with 3/4 in the middle, and that'll be my check. All right. So add in my end, 0.1, or hold on, clear, plus 1.75 equals, so my first number is going to be 12 and a 16. Okay? 12 and 1/16, and I'm going to add 3/4 to that. And I'm not going to lay out all of them just because, what if I get it wrong? I don't want to erase all those quarters. So I'm going to say 12 and 1/16 is there. And that, you know, and if I add 3/4, it's going to be 12 and 13/16 to there. Correct? All right, and then, let's see, and I know that off the top of my head, so that's going to be there. Then I'm going to add in, let's see, well, plus 0.75 equals, yep, there's my 13/16. And I'm going to add in my 10.3125 equals my next measurement, is 23 and 3/16. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to measure 23 and 3/16 on the other side. If I did my math right, it'll come out right. That doesn't look right. That's 5/8. Huh. I wonder what I did wrong. I'm going to find out. Let's see. So I'm at 47. Okay. 12 and a 16th. 12 and 13/16. What if I got something going on in my tape? Interesting. Let's see what my math says. Try this again, just to make sure. 47 minus 1.75 minus 1.75 equals that, minus 0.75 equals that, minus 0.75 equals that, minus 0.75 equals that. That's taking out all of this stuff here. Okay, so I divide that by 4 equal spaces. I get 10.3125, and then I add in back in my 1.75 equals 12 and a 16th, which was I measured, right? Yep. Plus 0.75 equals that, 12 and 13/16. And then I have to measure back in, add back in my plus 10.3125 equals 23 and an 1/8. I must have plugged something in wrong. I don't know what I plugged in wrong, but always gotta check your math. See, that's what's important to realize about measuring from both ways, is when you measure from both ways, you're forced to be in your center. And I know that's gonna be right now. So what did I say? 23 and an 1/8, which is not much difference, but it's enough difference. 23 and an 1/8 on both ways. That is going to leave me 3/4 in the middle. See that? That's perfect. Okay, So I don't know what I did wrong in the first measurement, but you know, it's just important to check. So now I know it's right. So 12 and a 16th, 12 and 13 16ths. That's my layout for this. And now I can measure all of them, right? So now I'm confident. 12 and 13 16ths, 23 and an 8. Okay? On the other side here, while I'm there, 12 and a 16th, yep. 12 and a 16th, 13 16ths, 23 and an 8. Then come back to the other way. Do the reverse, 23 and an 8th, 12 and 13, 12 and 1, 12 and 1, 12 and 13, 23 and 7/8. And man, that's how you do your layout. So when we cut the mortise for these, everything should be all lined up and centered. And we did our check. We saw why it's important to do the check in the middle, measure in both directions.